Hey everyone, and welcome to a new little tutorial. This time I would like to talk a little bit about mastering, but before we hop into it, a few things have changed. First of all, I entirely changed the machine and the system, so I'm on a PC now working on Windows 7. Cubase is still my sequencer of choice, and I also improved the microphone quality a little bit, so I'm not recording with a headset anymore, but using my session microphone I'm using for daily work. So I think that should give you a little bit of better acoustic understanding of what I'm saying, hopefully. Also, I would like to mention the screen capturing software, since a lot of people asked me what I was using on Mac, blah, blah, blah. Since I'm on PC now, I'm using Camtasia Studio. And if you want to learn a little bit more about this, check the link below. And it's actually the best you can get on PC, in my opinion. And so, okay, just wanted to make sure I mentioned that. Okay, so in this tutorial, I'm not going to talk entirely about mastering, but just the basics of it. So why the basics? I honestly have a huge respect for mastering studios, you know. There are dedicated studios and people doing nothing else than mastering. And mastering, I mean, it takes years to really master it. And it's almost a philosophy about what to use, what hardware, which software, and how to combine everything. And it's really like learning kung fu or learning how to drive a racing car. You know, you can't do that in a day or in a video tutorial. It's really a process which takes years to master. So, but for this tutorial, I just want to go into the very basics to give you a little bit of an understanding on how to deliver, you know, at least, like a little bit like standard tracks, you know, not have your track too overcompressed, which is horrible to listen to if you deliver a track and it's just squashed to death, or have a track which is that low in volume that the producer or the client can't listen to it because it's so low, you know. So there has to be, I don't want to even get into all this loudness war stuff and everything, but there has to be an okay standard level of volume to make it decent to listen to, you know. Just like if you sit on TV and watch a movie, you know, there has to be a little bit of a standard level to deliver the audio. Okay, so also I should mention that I'm using headphones here, so maybe you have headphones too, so you get an idea of what I'm doing here. Maybe you use speakers while listening to it, so the result might sound a little bit different, and it's generally pretty complicated because there are probably hundreds of guys out there watching this video during the time it's online, and a lot have, you know, these speakers, and then others have different speakers and headphones, of course, too, and the sound is different on every pair of speakers and headphones. So it's always very complicated to please everyone, you know. So you have to find something in between. Because of this, I really don't want to get too deep into the mastering itself, but just, as mentioned before, the basics. Okay, so I just bring over my mixer a little bit so you can see what I'm doing here. About this, you don't have to worry. This is just my, as you can see, my vocal chain here to deliver you a little bit of a better quality audio quality, whatever. And this channel here is the actual track, and because I'm recording my vocals inside Cubase, I can't, you know, put my mastering chain which I set up here, to this, because it would entirely change my vocals all the time when I'm recording. So that's why I created a group or a bus track called master, and the track, which is called follow, I written quite a while ago for an Eighth Dawn album called Torn, just so you know. Okay, so I'm routing this track into this group or bus track, and have my mastering going on here. So the most essential things I'm using for mastering is always a compressor. So in this case, I'm just using this Puke Child 670, which is a recreation of the Fairchild compressor, and I'm using a simple. I already set up some bands, so maybe just, yeah, whatever, leave it there. Simple EQ, just for the sake of correction. You know, I don't really like to change much of the sound frequency wise, because that has to be done in the mix. You know, that's also another topic I get later to that, but you can't, you know, make gold out of shit. I mean, if your track is not mixed well, or the arrangement or the instruments and everything is not well, you can't fix it in the mastering. The track will always sound not good. I mean, in some cases probably you can save some things or adjust some things to make it sound a little bit better, but in general you can't make gold out of crap. Okay, so that should all be always be at priority to deliver a decent mix and to know what you do while arranging. Okay, so the mastering is just the tip on the iceberg of the whole production. But okay, so the next thing, the equalizer, and I also have a simple limiter going on for this one. Okay, let's just reset that. Okay, so about this one we get later to that. Okay, so let's just listen to the track once without. Okay, everything's deactivated, so just listen to the very soft parts here. As you can already see, that's a track. It starts off very soft, and then it gets a little bit louder, and then it goes down at a very low level, even lower than this part here, and then it goes up a little bit, and pretty much, except a few peaks, stays on this volume till the end. Okay, so let's just have a listen. Okay, I'm sorry. The song is just too long, you know. So I just want to go through the whole song, but just go through the parts a little bit. So you have this part going on, and the same part here, but just building up a little bit. Then we head over to this part, and the vocals drop in. And so on. And the most interesting thing of the whole track is probably this point here. So let's just listen to this. Okay, so this spot is very interesting when it comes to mastering, because it ties together a very low dynamic part and a very high dynamic part, and it can be tricky when you're mastering something like this. So I could have automize the tracks, you know, while mixing, but the track is now as it is, so we have to make the best out of it. So probably it's not the situation of having crap and making gold out of it, but it's just a dynamic thing. Okay, so what probably would be the easiest thing to start is to match the dynamics a little bit, at least. So I tempo sync this track here. So let's just cut this track here and turn it down a little bit, actually. Or we could also move this up, but it's always better to not overdo it. So let's turn this a little bit down and see what happens. Okay, that sounds pretty good. So we don't have that huge jump, you know, and even though the part at the beginning is very soft, you still have at least a little bit of a constant volume at the end. Okay, so let's make sure we crossfade this action to prevent it from having sounds clipping or clicks. Okay, that's something we can work with. Okay, the first thing we do is just activate the compressor and just, let's see, I think the default, let's set to default, full reset. Okay, so the first thing I do is getting rid of the analog simulation stuff. This compressor is a recreation of the Fairchild compressor. I think I mentioned before, and it's you know, recreated exactly as the original, as the hardware device works. So there's a lot of analog noise and stuff going on. So, but I don't want to have it too analog. I just want to make sure I have a clean and decent mastering. Okay. I think, no, this is usually somewhere here. Okay, so let's listen to the track and see what's happening. Sorry to interrupt again. That's the most important thing, actually, to just look, check out the stuff and watch what's going on. You know, not doing anything before you see what's happening actually inside the compressor. Okay. Okay, it's just a little bit of needle jumping around here. So let's head over to this spot. Okay, you see movement, a little bit more movement. So I don't want to have it too much, just decent, you know? Maybe let's raise the input gain a little bit. Okay, so I'm okay with this. And as a general rule for me, I always end up lowering the values a little bit. When I think it's okay, I just go down a little bit more, so to not overdo it, you know. But I tend to, might be just me, but I tend to have, at least for me, optimal settings, you know, and set it all up. And in the end, I think I'll listen to it a day later or so, and I think it's probably a bit too much. And if I just reduce it a little bit more, the track sounds okay right from the beginning. Hopefully. Okay, so let's, yeah, so take a little bit back and listen again. No, I think it was cool like this. Okay, so let's do a little bit of a comparison here. I always have the feeling of when I activate the compressor, it sounds like the stems are coming actually together. You know, the individual tracks are becoming one. So if you listen to this, you might have the same impression or not, but it feels like just listening to individual stems playing all at once. and once I turn up the compressor, it kind of glues a little bit together, you know. Okay, so the next thing we're opening is the equalizer. To just, you know, not make this tutorial like 3 hours long, I already prepared some bands, and it's probably okay. So what I activated 1, 4, 3, 5, 6, 9. It might be a little bit weird, but I just have a band and just put it here, and I already found band 4 to be good in band 5, so it might look a little bit confusing, but let's just deactivate 1. Let me just count. Okay, 1, 5, 6, 9. Okay, so the most important thing in the beginning or always is to get this guy up here or down, because you have a lot of low frequency going up in the end track, and to prevent the mastering or the final track from having too much noise in the low frequencies, you just set up some decent filter at around 30 hertz. You know, just in case you got sub bass going on or anything, it might jump out a little bit on a stereo with a sub bass setting up. Okay, it's not happening too much, but it's just in the end you hear it just gets a little bit more tidy in the low frequency section. And the next thing I did is having a little bump at around 340 hertz. I can just move this up. So you have a little bit of a kind of a noodling sound, like moo moo. I can't recreate it, but you probably know what I mean. And if you hear this, so I over exaggerated it a little bit. I just want to get rid of it a little bit. So okay, the next band was 4. There was also a little bit going on at around 216 something. I just raise it up again. Yes, as I mentioned in the beginning, it's very important to listen to a track and find those things you want to get rid of. You know, so I always tend to not to add too much frequency too much equalizing. Do not too much equalizing, but getting rid of the bands which I think are disturbing. Okay. Okay, this is like I mean, of course, if I move that up, it's becoming pretty obvious. But this is the frequency I already heard here in this. And I just want to clean it a little bit up in this area, so probably not too much. So band 5, I just raised a little bit at around 450 probably. Let's I always, or not always, I mean, it depends on the track, but usually it's pretty, yeah, it's like I always feel like it adds a little bit more noble character to a track if you raise some at around something like 500 hertz. Like a little bit of a noble and belly, yeah, you know, to add a little belly to the track. Okay, what did I do? Is the band 6? Okay, there was something going on here at around 800 something. So you can easily hear that now. There was some high noodling kind of noise. Okay, so let's take the volume. Just a bit. And the next thing I did was something like this, just to get rid of a little bit of this thrashy. It always feels to me a little bit like the thrashy area, like, you know, like the metalish frequency stuff. Okay. And then we had a little bit of high frequencies going on for the sake of clarity. Yeah, not too much, but just a little bit to make it a little bit more shiny. Okay, so in the end, let's see how this sounds if we just bypass the whole thing. So I have the feeling now that there is a lot of, when I bypass the track, that there's a lot of, you know, noodling and noise going on, which is now okay. Okay, so I think it's okay for now, and you know, it just should give you a basic idea of how to correct. Correction. Do a little bit of corrections, you know, to make the track really, you know, let's say brilliant, you know, to just raise the quality a little bit, hopefully. So the last thing we do is open the limiter, and you can put out ceiling whatever you want. For the sake of this video and to prevent it from distorting when uploading to YouTube and converting it through all the formats, I just wanted to make sure it's not like minus 0.1 or exactly 0, because it can happen that it starts clipping. So I for this video, I put it to minus 0.5. Usually I put it to minus 0.2 or 1, just to make sure the track doesn't clip. Okay, so now let's just listen to the track and raise or lower as you want the threshold, and you may want to reduce the volume of your headphones or whatever device you're listening, because the track might get a little bit, you know, like 3 dB or something louder. Okay, so let's just activate it and listen. think we can. Maybe let's better raise the input gain here. Okay, so the snare in general sounds pretty distorted already and pretty hard hitting. I don't want to overdo it for this track, and just make sure there's a little bit of yeah. What I mean, it's not really a little bit. It's going to minus 70 dB, but just make it the track a little bit more louder and have not too much interaction with the limiter itself. Just see it working in that area a little bit, okay? Cool. So let's just listen to the whole, to these 3 plugins turned. May I turn it? Maybe I should do this in a mixer here, so it's easier to do. And let's listen to it bypassed, and then again. Can I set the yeah, always to top? Okay, so it doesn't disappear in the background. It's basically a lot of going on right now, but it should be fine. Okay, so that's for the very, very basics of it. So the most important thing probably I did for the whole mastering was to cut that track on this point and reduce it a little bit, because if I would have left it very loud, it would be difficult to bring the track in general to a decent level. Okay, so if we listen to the beginning, it should be all right here. Whenever you feel sorrow, whenever you feel pain. It's also interesting to just listen to the EQ, what the EQ does with the compressor and the limiter going. Whenever you feel sorrow, whenever you feel, and also on this point here. Okay, I have one thing left here. This is the Inflator, and this is just one of my favorite plugins. And the name is probably a little bit too rough. It's Inflator. You know, it sounds like you have a little bit of a balloon and you just blow it up to, you know, until it explodes. But it's just basically a little software, little plugin which enriches and distorts the overtones. And I don't know if I have this right, but I think it's just harmonic distortion. So with easy words, it makes your track, assuming it already sounds good, you know, and it sounds okay and decent with mastering, it just makes it a tad better, because it always feels like it brings up the frequencies and the instruments which were not so present, you know. It may sound funny, but you get it when I raise the effect here. Okay, so I made sure let's just maybe put it to minus 0.5 here too. And I'm now raising the effect while letting the track play. Oops, sorry. Okay, let's make it a keyword. Okay, and let's raise the effect and see what's happening. Yeah, I can overdo it a little bit here, but this is already too much. So I tend to have it around like 40% something. The difference is pretty subtle, but as soon as you do an A-B comparison, it gets pretty obvious. Okay, so I think you get the difference. So let's just do a huge jump in volume and listen to the dynamic part with everything deactivated and then activated again. Please don't ask me why this track was set to minus. Okay, so we can put it up, but it won't change that much. So maybe bring this guy a little bit down again. Okay, so I think we've done an okay job. And by the way, don't worry about this limiter here. I just put that up to, to have like a general limit when I'm talking and letting the track playing back, so nothing is going on with clipping. Okay, so what else do I have on my list? You could really go deep with other plugins. There are a lot of other plugins. Probably, maybe I do another tutorial on this one too, but I just wanted to keep this one basic to give you an idea on how to, getting your tracks to a decent volume or a decent, like standard frequencies. Yeah, I think you know what I mean when you listen to CDs, well-mastered CDs, and you get the idea. I mean, I would do that a lot. I would take your favorite track and listen to it like 1,000 times, to get the frequencies down, and obviously for every style. So I wouldn't choose like a whatever Madonna CD and apply your mastering to your next classical tune or the other way around. So there's a big difference. But you should get one track for your favorite style of music, or to have one reference track or 2 reference tracks for each style of music, for rock and pop, and in case you're doing several styles. Okay, so I just wanted to get into a few, like philosophy points. One I mentioned in the beginning is you really can't turn shit into gold. If the most important thing should be to put everything in a well arranged track and into a good mix. So the mastering will not save your track from sounding crap. I'm sorry to say. I mean, I'm not offending anyone or anything, but I'm not saying that everything sounds, you know what I mean. I mean, you simply can't fix it in the mastering, The other thing is you should really understand your gear, what you have. I mentioned that many times before, but it's really important to just watch a plugin and see what it does without getting into the presets and where's the rock snare, where's the the techno bass drum or whatever. It's really important to just understand what, I mean, just let's open the compressor to really make sure what is going on here. What is the threshold? What is the input gain? I mean, the input gain is pretty obvious, but what is the threshold doing? How much can I move it until it sounds bad? And just fool around with the stuff. It's the most important thing you can do. Another thing is the presets problem. I know a lot of guys, they just, let's just go back to the compressor. They just go to the load button and just, load any of these rock guitar or whatever rock snare. And it's, even though the preset might be good for a rock snare, what by definition is a rock snare? You have a sonar, a snare drum, and it's specifically tuned. And is it like a like a piccolo snare, or is it like a normal whatever a normal snare? Is it how is it tuned? What is the microphone? What microphone has been used to record it? And most important thing is, what was the player? Was it a like a jazz guy, or was it a rock guy with like Hulk arms, thrashing the snare drum? It's really important because it's just one snare preset, and it can't make any snare you have in your sample library or recorded make a rock snare out of it. It might help you. So I would study these presets and see what the guys of the company did to make it rock or pop or whatever. But the most important thing is to really know what your plugins are doing and each knob and fader. Okay, the most important, another most important thing is to really use it decently. I receive a lot of tracks I listen to, and they hopelessly sound overcompressed. I mean, every lot of tracks are just squashed. They I don't know, but why? I don't know why, but I think a lot of guys try to get the track as loud as possible when they compress it, and this is not true, because you get your track loud with a limiter. But on the other hand, a lot of guys limit their tracks to death, so it starts distorting. So it's definitely it's a mixing thing. If you have a well mixed track, you can get a lot of volume out of it. But if you have a track which is not mixed well, and you didn't get rid of the garbage frequencies, let me put it like this. If you got a French horn or a violin, you don't need everything below 200 hertz or something. You probably recorded it, and there might be something on it which was below these 200 or 250 hertz or maybe lower. So you can cut it away, and in this, by doing this, you create room. You create room for another instrument which is sitting on that, like the bass or the bass drum or whatever. And if you're really afraid of damaging something, you should make sure to just leave everything as it is, and maybe just use a limiter and see, to raise it up a little bit until it gets to work a little bit at this, and not squeeze it to death. I mean, it's the most important thing is to listen to a track with a good quality, and not a loud track, But it's also not good to listen to a too soft track. So there has to be some kind in the middle. And really, by now, the most important thing is, if you mixed all day or you arranged all day, just make sure, if you got the time, to master the track on the next day, because your ears are just part of you and you are just a human, you know, and the ears faint. And in the evening, I mean, you can really, you know, exaggerate it again and do like a really weird comparison, but go to a club with loud music and after that listen to a classic CD. You might sit there and say, what? Something happening? Is it played already? You know, your ears have to restore, and if your ears are at 100%, I'm sure you can master or even mix. So if I got the time, I always try to, you know, make the arrangement on 1 day or 2 days or even 3 or 4 days, and then mix it on the next day and bring everything clear. So the ears have some time to regenerate. And then the same again, if there's time to do a mastering on the same day, but just leave the track as it is, reset your brain and everything, and bring it up on the next day and master it again, or just do little corrections. And it happened to me a lot of times that I had to master a track in the evening, and then it turned out I had a little bit of time left or whatever, and went back to the track in the morning and listened to it, and it was hopelessly distorted, you know. So better to have this little reset going. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed it, and make sure to subscribe to my channel. There will be a lot of more tutorials. For the guys who already followed my previous tutorials, there was a huge gap between the last one and this one, and this was clearly fall of having too much work and the change of systems and everything. So there will be lots of more in the future. Okay, so I thank you a lot, and see you next time. Bye.